Hi, good evening, everyone. This is another Tuesday night, 7 p.m. I trust that you're well and everything is going good for you. Yeah, thank you very much indeed. I'm just going to put something in the chat. Some of you may get it, some of you may not. Yeah, so yes, Tuesday night, 28th of February. 2023, another cold evening here in Sheffield, but really good to see everyone here this evening. Also, you might have seen something in the chat for those of you on Facebook. I've actually got a YouTube channel. Good evening, sound engineer. It's really good to see you. Thank you much indeed. Just want to know that I'm coming through loud and clear. I have a YouTube channel, but I don't like the name too much. So once I've changed it, I'll let you know what it is. But you'll see in the chat, certainly on Facebook and YouTube, it's at Dr. Delroy Hall 5007. At Dr. Delroy Hall 5007. There's quite a few people who are not on social media at all, but they have access to they have access to YouTube. So yeah, so it's really good this evening. Yeah, really good to see you this evening, Sonia, and also. Sound engineer saying hand pink waving. I can't see anything waving at the moment, but listen, thank you very much indeed. Yeah, so this is just kind of branching out. I'm really kind of excited, to be honest. Only it's kind of nearly 3 years in the making. As those of you know that I didn't plan to be doing it for this length of time, but really, really good for the encouragement, the responses, and connecting with people. So for those of you our regulars, welcome. Those of you that might be watching it during the week, welcome also. Good evening, Norma. Good to see you this evening. Anybody else who's watching and you don't comment, that's fine. I think there might be somebody who wants to watch but doing his parents' tea at the particular time, so he watches it later on. Dave, great to see you this evening. Yeah, I'm on YouTube, but I don't like the name at the moment. At Dr. Delroy Hall 5007 isn't really kind of sexy, is it? So I'm going to change the name. As soon as I change the name, I'll let us know on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. But really good to see you all this evening. My name is Delroy Hall. For those of you who are here for the first time, maybe just watching, I'm a trained counsellor, over 30 years experience, teacher and trainer. I'm also the CEO of Delroy Consultancy Limited. You'll see my website at the bottom, and I've been looking at various topics over the last 2.5 years really, or nearly 3 years. So tonight I want to start a series on social fitness. It is something I guess a lot of us know. We know about it, but there's been a research started in 1938 and still on it today. So social fitness, I'll be spending a few weeks on it. So if you're here for the first time, I might encourage you to have pen and paper, something to write on. The stuff that I share is not just about listening, but actually putting it into practice. I'm just so aware in terms of people's lives. None of us are perfect, but all of us struggle with one thing or another. And these sessions are no substitute for going to your GP, going to a psychologist or a counsellor or mental health worker. So this is no substitute. However, there was somebody who contacted me recently who said that the organ of the professional system failed her, but she's got so much from this. However, I would still advocate always going to see your GP, make an appointment to see a counsellor or psychologist, or even a coach if it's some stuff around well-being, about your profession and so forth. That's really important. So social fitness, what is it? So I'm going to offer a definition, a working definition. I'm going to look at what it is. Tonight I'll be talking about the background of how it came about. So social fitness, what it is, the benefits of social fitness, what are the components, the building blocks of social fitness, and then how to stay or keep socially fit. And like any form of fitness, we talk about fitness, we talk about exercise. And we know that if we don't exercise regularly, we become less fit. And if we don't use our muscles regularly, they atrophy, or they waste away, or they diminish. So this whole thing about social fitness is incredibly important. And in some of the introduction material, I said it might actually help us live longer. Well, the research is saying just that. But over the next few weeks, I'll look at some of the things around social fitness, how we can become better at it, and how we can improve our relationships and so forth. So here is a definition, and then I'll be this for the rest of the afternoon, rest of the session. I'll be looking at the background. It's really important to understand where it's coming from, and it's not just kind of something that I've just lifted off somewhere because it sounded really good. So social fitness is the ability to engage in productive and professional relationships, positively interact with unit and command networks, that's small networks, larger networks, and to use resources that promote overall well-being. I say that again. Social fitness is the ability to engage in productive and professional relationships, positively interact with unit and command networks, and use resources that promote overall well-being. Like anything else, the more you exercise or practice social fitness, the better you become and the stronger your relationships. Some of the findings are absolutely awesome. I can give you the title of the piece of work that I'm looking at. Really, really good to actually engage with. Good evening, Jerry. And for those of you that are just coming on, please share this with your friends. Also, let them know my YouTube channel is up and running. I don't really like the name at the moment. If somebody can come up really with a good name in terms of what I'm about, please inbox me and let me know. And let me just make this public. If you choose a name that I really like, those of you that's been kind of watching it over the few weeks or even months or even from the time it started, and you can think of a name that really kind of maybe a couple of words or 2 or 3 words that really kind of succinctly give a theme or a title. I'll give you 50 quid. How's that? They are 50 quid. Yeah, all awesome free coaching sessions if you need it. But anyway, inbox me and let's see what happens. There's a competition for you, isn't it? And that's important. So social fitness, incredibly important. And one of the things that, even though I'm looking at only one definition at the moment, it's really good if you have several definitions, because what happens, let me just make sure that nobody's put, good evening, Jerry, good to see you this evening. Having many definitions, it's really important. We won't have time to do it today, but the definitions are important, because then what happens then, you're able then to formulate your own ideas of a particular thing. And also the whole thing about definitions, of course, is this: if you then unpack it and spend some time really teasing out what the words mean, and then you then start asking the question, well, what do I need to do to change, and so forth. It's really, really important. So this is the beginning of it. Researchers suggest the best way to improve long-term health, listen to this, researchers suggest the way to improve long-term health is not physical, but it's social, as in social connection. And this is a study that started in 1938, still going on today. Well, I've got one already. Professorship. Okay, well, kind of keep them coming. Yeah, let's see what happens. So researchers suggest the best way to improve long-term health is not physical, it's social connection. So this is the background. Social fitness, it counters the effect of chronic stress. Now, some of you will know that about 5 years ago, I was really unwell with chronic stress. When I kind of did my resignation and I've left certain environments, I was told, Delroy, did you realize you came out just in time? You got out just in time. I said, no. If you don't deal with chronic stress immediately, you've got to pounce on it quickly. It can lead to type 1 diabetes, strokes, heart failure, cancers, aneurysms, a whole range of stuff that it can lead to. So this whole thing about chronic stress and social fitness, it can counter chronic stress, having really good relationships. This is what psychiatrist said, Robert Waldinger. He says, not exercising, your social fitness is hazardous for your health. He's written a book called The Good Life. I've not read it, but I understand it's a really, really good book, and it's a combination or culmination of some of the research that he's a part of now. Even though it started in 1938, he kind of became a part of this in the 1980s. 1938, the longest study of happiness. The data collected over an 80-year period. The formula for health and happiness is positive relationship. Now, get this. Listen to what I'm going to say next. This is incredible. If you regularly feel isolated and lonely, it can be as dangerous as smoking a half pack of cigarettes a day or being obese. Can you imagine that? If we feel loneliness or we feel isolation, and it's long term and it's chronic, it's in terms of the impact it has on our bodies, the equivalent is as dangerous as smoking half pack of cigarettes a day or being obese. That's absolutely incredible, that loneliness, feeling isolated, could actually do that to our body. Whilst we're talking about social fitness and this whole thing about relationships really important, I remember a few years ago I was asked by a deputy head to do a lecture to sixth formers, it was sixth form college, on the benefits of kindness. Incredible. We think that the benefits of kindness is just doing a good turn to somebody and helping them out, but no, the impact of kindness on our well-being, from our muscles to our blood counts to how we breathe to our immune system, is incredibly important. So if we're mean, miserable, unkind and cruel, yes, we may be hurting another person, but actually we're actually harming ourselves physiologically, psychologically, emotionally, right down to blood level. And I suspect if it's affecting us at blood level, it also is affecting us cellularly as well. So really, really important. Loneliness is regarded as a public health issue. I'll just say a little about loneliness. And so social isolation significantly increases a person's risk of premature death from all causes. So when people feel isolated, I think I did a session on people feeling lonely, and the research found that if you spend too long a time with people feel lonely, it's almost as though it's catching, it's contagious, and you actually end up feeling lonely as well. So loneliness and social isolation are not good for our well-beings whatsoever. Social isolation was associated with about a 50% increase in dementia. So this whole thing about connecting with people, and you know, I was listening to somebody the weekend, and with all the criticisms of church and religious groups, one of the benefits it does have, it actually connects people. People are part of a community, or any kind of other community, whereby people are in, whether or not it's sewing or reading or writing. There's something about connecting with other people and developing strong bonds in terms of our well-being. Absolutely important. So that's some of the aspects of social fitness. So the study started, before I go there, one of the interesting things, of course, is that human beings, we are wired for connection, but actually there's no manual, there's no roadmap. So how then do we kind of get connected with people and form these bonds? And that's what I'll be looking at over the next 2 or 3 weeks. So this study, as I said, started in 1938. So what happened? 268, I think they call them sophomores, but people who have been between the ages of 15 and 16 were part of this huge study at Harvard University. So what happened, they tracked these students for 2 years. So every 2 years, they'd ask them questions. So they tracked them through from the age of 15, 16, 18, university, career, marriage, births, illnesses, deaths. And then, so they did that, and then they started to look at their offspring, asked them lots of questions and so forth. So this started in 1938. In 1970 in Boston, there was 456 people that were chosen in a city to look at juvenile delinquency and resilience, a kind of similar study looking at this kind of longevity. What was it that really kind of made people healthy and live longer and so forth? So what they did, every 2 years, they'd meet up with them and ask them loads of questions. Every 5 years, they would do brain scans and blood works. It's interesting. Some of you will know this. I went to, well, not know what I'm about to say, but about the blood. I remember going to the doctors a few years ago, and I remember the doctors saying, so let me just go back for a moment. I'm a man, as you can see, and from the age of 40, every birthday I go to the doctors. Ever since 40, usual stuff, maybe not on the birthday, but maybe just a little bit after. Blood pressure, urine sample, weight. So in a sense, so my health has been tracked for the last 23 years when I go to the doctors. And I remember the doctor saying to me, Delroy, it's quite a while since we've done a blood test. Now, listen, I'm a bloke. Do I love needles? I hate needles. But you know what? If they can find something out before it gets serious, I'm happy to get pricked. So she said, look, the best record we have of the human body is to find out what's going in the blood. Well, what's kind of happening. So what they did for these groups of people, every 2 years they'd meet up with them, they'd ask them lots of questions and they'd collect the data. Every 5 years they'd do brain scan. So there was kind of, so not only was this kind of this social psychology, but they looked at it physiologically, but also they did blood works as well. So they tested their blood every 5 years as a part of this particular experiment. And when they interviewed these individuals, what they discovered repeatedly, what were the indicators, what were the features of well-being and happiness? Listen to this. Nobody spoke about status, wealth, or money, but without exception, what came up was relationships. And some people, when they were asked, in terms of relationship, what do you mean? I was a good parent. I was a good mentor. I helped people. There was nothing about status, nothing about position, nothing about kudos, but all about relationships. And one of the things that I said in one of the kind of blurbs before this event, in 30 years of being a counsellor, over 30 years of being a counsellor, no matter what issue a client brings, self-harm, depression, eating disorder, the list could go on and on and on. It boils down to one of three things. Well, one thing in particular is all about relationships, either relationship with others, relationship with the world, or relationship with themselves. We cannot get away as human beings from relationships. Absolutely important to our existence, our well-being. So as I kind of set the scene, what's really important for longevity, in fact, can be really helpful for a long life, a healthy long life, is relationships with people and being kind and helping individuals. Absolutely important. And if we don't have people, and we don't need many people, maybe just a few people that we kind of feel really connected to, people that have helped us. Now, one of the dangers, of course, is as people get older and people are dying off, we don't have all those social networks. But what we can do, if we are someone who's kind of forward thinking and so forth, we can have connections, not just with people of our own age, but people that are younger than us. The guy's passed away now, but my father's, I guess, best friend, Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson was, I think when Mr. Nelson passed, he must have been in his late 70s, early 80s. His wife is still alive. She's late 90s. Mr. Nelson could get around in his little kind of buggy, but in the end, he couldn't get around much. His house was filled with young people coming to see him because he offered himself. He got into, he listened to young people. He really kind of listened and helped them through difficult times in their lives. So actually, we don't just have to have people that are our own age group, but actually, if we have a a kind of wide range age of people, it opens it up to a new world. It's great listening to new people, young people. Well, listen to this. Just in terms of young people, I was at a supermarket a few weeks ago. I don't think I mentioned it here. And the stuff was scanned through, and the guy who was serving me, he said, "Can we so and so, so and so?" I said to him, "Just give me a minute. I just need to get my wallet." This is what the guy said to me. "I've not had a wallet in years." I was absolutely shocked. But actually, that's where lots of young people are. Everything's on the phone. Every single thing's on the phone. And here I was, I don't know anybody of my age group who hasn't got a wallet. The wallet is somewhere with something in it. But here was this youngster, and it just helped me to think, different generation, they view the world differently. So this whole thing about social connection is really important. So that is it. We're starting off with the name. If I will give the link to, let's see. Here's the link. I'm going to leave it in the box if I can. I'll perhaps put it in on Facebook and LinkedIn. Some of you may see it. It's really, it's come up on YouTube, and it's also come on Facebook. I can certainly leave it in the other social media platforms. The kind of talks about the background study, just really, really important. And most of the things I've spoken about over the last few years, most of it is free. You know, getting out of depression. Now, fair enough. If you need to see a counsellor, you need to pay. But lots of things, it doesn't cost us anything at all. So human relationships, absolutely important. So I'm going to talk about some of the benefits, because we just think, well, it's just two people talking together and so forth. But how do we build these relationships? And then what's the benefits? And then over the next few weeks, I'll be kind of exploring what are some of the benefits of social fitness. Absolutely important. So that's it. 21 minutes. I wish you well for the rest of the evening. If there's no questions or you want to respond, that's cool. Please feel free to share this either on Facebook and now on YouTube. That's my channel name at the moment. But as I said, once I get something that's really sexy, or somebody can think of something, I think, right, I'm going to go with this one, I'll let you know what it is via the social medias. Then you can just let people know. On Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, if you go onto this YouTube channel, this is where you're going to find the material. Until then, I wish you enjoy the rest of your evening and enjoy the rest of your week. And thank you once again for taking time out this evening. Also, for those of you who watch this later on, as many do, just once again, thank you for taking the time. And those of you who just appeared for the first time for a little while, really good to see you this evening. Thank you very much indeed. So until then, thank you very much indeed, Jerry. This whole thing about relationships, we take so much for granted, but actually it can be really helpful in just our well-being, keeping healthy and so forth. So until then, speak to you soon, next Tuesday at 7 o'clock for another gripping episode of social fitness. Take care of yourselves, and we wish you well. Take care now. Bye-bye.